Everyone, welcome to What Works. My name is Madeline Schultz, and I am a part of the alumni relations team here at SAIT. And I'm so happy that you've all joined us for this evening's conversation. Please note that this is being recorded to share with those who are unable to join live. We acknowledge that SAIT is situated on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy. The city of Calgary encompasses a region that the Blackfoot tribes of Southern Alberta described as Mohkinstsis, meaning elbow, in reference to its location at the confluence of the Bow and Elbow River. Since time immemorial, this region is a traditional gathering place for the tribes of the Blackfoot Confederacy. We are meeting on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which today encompasses the Indigenous people of Treaty 7 region in Southern Alberta, including the Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, and the Métis Nation Homeland Nation Region 3. The What Works speaker series was developed in response to the feedback we received from you, our alumni. The focus of this series is on career development, industry connections, and how SAIT can be a lifelong partner in both your education and your career. This evening, we'll be talking about how to construct the career you want with Kelly Rosso from SAIT Counselling. Thanks for joining us, Kelly. To those who submitted their questions in advance of this evening, thank you. If you have questions specific to the content throughout the hour, please use the Q&A. While Kelly's presenting and chatting, I'll keep an eye on that, and we'll take quick breaks throughout the conversation to make sure that any questions that pop up are covered throughout the program. Please note that you can post your questions anonymously if you prefer. Again, this is being recorded. So because of that, if you want to ensure that what you're asking remains confidential, please just post your question anonymously. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Kelly to begin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madeline. And thank you for joining me tonight, everyone. It's such a beautiful day out, so I really appreciate you being here. So yes, my name is Kelly Ma Rosso, and I am a psychologist at SAIT Student Development and Counseling. About a third of our services is career planning and career exploration with our students who find that maybe the program doesn't fit for them, or that they have new interests. And so we talk to them about how they can construct a new path for themselves. So that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight. Along with being a psychologist that I've studied career, I myself have gone through a career transition a long time ago now. I graduated 25 years ago from engineering, and I worked as a professional engineer for about 5 years before I asked myself, why am I going to work? And once I started questioning that, I had to really answer that and started a process of change for myself. And I am now a psychologist. I've been a registered psychologist for over 10 years, and I am loving my work, right? So along with professional, I also have personal experience in this. So let me start this workshop for you. So this webinar, what I'm hoping to talk about today is to help you realize where in the transition you are. Oh my goodness. What the process of transition looks like. Knowing where you are in the transition helps you manage it, right? Introduction to the idea of what career construction is. Assessing your priorities and needs, and assessing your readiness to make a career decision. Have you looked at everything that you can before making that decision? And then provide resources along the way with self-assessments, insight exercises, and research tools. So what I am going to provide you is going to be a lot of questions, actually. I'll give you more questions than answers because every one of you is unique. Your life is unique to you. What your needs are and what your priorities are is specific to you. But we think we have the right questions for you to answer so that you can construct that career for yourself. But in the chat box, I'm wondering, What are the questions that are on your mind? What are your hopes for this webinar? If you wouldn't mind sharing that, um, I'd love to see if there are other things other than what I covered in the last slide. So, are you seeing anything, Madeline?
Not yet. So yeah, everybody, if you feel
Okay.
free, just throw something in the chat or in the Q&A, wherever you feel like it's easiest, to submit the questions that you have on your mind for this evening.
Okay. But if you know what I covered in the last slide is what you're here to listen to, then great, because that's what I'm going to cover. But if anything pops up, go ahead and put it in the Q&A or the chat. Okay, so the types of transitions. There are expected transitions and unexpected developments. So expected things are like you're ready to retire and you're going to retire. But something that's unexpected could be the pandemic that happened and businesses closing up and you lost your job. And then there are voluntary and involuntary change. Voluntary is something such as what I went through. I wanted a change. I did some research and I knew what I wanted to do at that time and I went ahead and did it. But then there's also involuntary change when you don't have a choice to change your work. And then there are the non-events. So something that you anticipated happening in your career, but that didn't happen, such as promotion, or you just graduated and you thought, you know, there was lots of job opportunities, but then they disappeared within the last year, or some for some other reason, right? That event didn't change. And crises can happen when these transitions are unexpected and involuntary because we are very unprepared for them. We didn't expect them to come up. And so that puts us in a position where we have to handle something that we were not ready to handle. And so these are some of the reactions that people go through. That's normal to go through when an unexpected and involuntary change happens. First, there's shock, right? Because it's such a surprise. And then there's despair of thinking about, oh, now everything is lost. And then we try to help ourselves feel better by, you know, minimizing the situation, thinking we'll find a job tomorrow. We'll find it right away, the same job. And when that doesn't happen, then there's some doubt, right? There's some doubt about ourselves, and we could start questioning our identity, our worth sometimes, and we could even despair some more. And so that's when we can go really low. But with hopefully you have the support or you find some support and you start letting go of some of that previous expectations and previous plans because you know that's not happening anymore. And you start letting go and you start testing things out or searching for new ideas and new developments that you can develop skills in. And maybe that's where you're at right now, and that's why you're at this webinar. You're searching for new ideas and new things and new skills to maybe develop and testing out. And then you can develop those and internalize a new you with new skills, maybe new values and a new lifestyle, right? So this process is very normal to go through. And it's normal to grieve through a loss of a job or career. And even when it's voluntary, it's normal to grieve because you are leaving something. If you were there for a while, you stayed there for a reason, right? So it's okay to take some time to process what you're feeling and what you're thinking. So if you have just lost a job, if possible, if possible, don't start looking for another job immediately, and don't apply randomly to hundreds of jobs, and avoid setting unrealistic goals. Because if you do that without taking the time to address your feelings and address how you're doing, then we could get exhausted, right? Because if you set unrealistic goals, then they would be really hard to achieve, and you could get exhausted and discouraged, and that could bring you down even more. So, if possible, take the time and address your feelings and look for practical support. So, throughout the pandemic, there was support through the federal government and the provincial government. Look for the practical supports there and some resources. Ask for emotional support. Do you have a support network in your life um, that could help you through this time? And if you don't, there is community resources that can help you. There are free counseling resources in Calgary. Um, there is the Eastside Family Center. There's Calgary Counseling Center that could help you through a hard transition. Calgary Counseling does charge a fee, but it's based on your income. So if you don't have an income right now, um, I know they used to charge like a minimum of $8 an hour, and that was a while ago. But if you really can't afford that, they would charge you nothing, because they want people to have the support in their life. So there is resources that you can access in the community for that emotional support. But keep active and engaged in life, because work is not the only part of your life, right? You are important. Keep engaged in your hobbies and exercise, and maybe volunteer, so you can keep engaged in the community. I know we're supposed to be isolating, so physically isolating mostly, but you can still engage online and in your community, so that you don't get too isolated. And when you're engaged, then you have a network. So, the idea of career construction, it includes looking at all the areas of your life. Work and life, they are not separate, right? Our work affects our life, and our life affects our work. Research shows that work satisfaction helps increase life satisfaction, and life satisfaction helps increase work satisfaction. We can't really separate the two, they're very intertwined. So we need to look at all areas of life. And this process is something that you're likely to repeat multiple times as you go through life. So what is this? Career is about the life that you want to lead. It's not just a job or occupation or profession. It involves deciding among possible and preferred futures. So it's not really the picture of it. It's not like a stairwell that there's one straight path going to one place. There are multiple potential futures that you can choose from. Um, so it's almost like you have a general direction, but you can make decisions along the way at different intersections, right? With the information you have at that time. So it answers, who do I want to be in the world? What kind of lifestyle am I seeking? Because that will help you envision what type of work, what kind of work um, that you want to have in your life. And how can I make an impact? What kind of impact do you want to have? career and life construction, it's non-linear, like I said, and it's a feedback informed process. You're always getting information, right? When you're working, you find information about work that you may not have encountered at school. Your school program definitely did not teach you everything about that career. When you get into work, you learn a lot more, right? And that's information for you to use about what fits for you and what doesn't fit for you and what works for you. Um, this kind of construction, you need to assess your current needs and your strengths and your abilities. Have you found that you need to build different types of skills? Have you found that you have different abilities and strengths that you want to use more? So as you work along the way, you want to be aware of those things, right? You want to create this compass where you're going forward. And so you may, have your first job and then identify maybe further abilities and skills to develop, or you find that there are other opportunities and so you reassess. Do you want to continue with the first job, or do you want to find or try job number two? And then you continue from there. You're always reassessing, always gathering information. And so your first idea may not be your best, but that's okay because you can go forward and change. So don't wait. So what I always suggest to people is don't wait for that inspiration, or don't wait for that passion feeling. Instead, try things and test things out. Because when you try things and put action into it, then you find a passion. You find that you are really skilled at it, or that it really doesn't fit for you. And when we have those strong reactions, then we actually find like maybe I need to do something else, right? And really just listen to those instincts, right? So test things out and reassess. It's okay to change your mind. Um, if if you have the time, things can always be redesigned and improved upon. There are things. So this career construction process, there are steps. So previously, it was a very clean diagram of 5 steps. So know yourself, what your interests are, what your personality is like. Are you introverted, extroverted? What are your values? Why do you want to work? Do you want to help other people, or do you need excitement in your work? Do you need variety in your work? Do you need creativity in your work? So knowing why you want to work and what you want to work for. What are your skills and talents and aptitudes? And what's your current lifestyle situation, and what do you want it to be? Um, and what was your level of education, and are you looking for more training? So that is definitely one step of the process. Another step is identifying some options through brainstorming, observing, maybe using some assessments. The third step is researching those options. So researching, we always say this step is really important because if you can research your options, then you know what you're getting into, right? So I'll have lots of resources for you to use to research occupational information. And then when you're researching options, sometimes you get to know yourself more, right? And this is sort of like that feedback uh, informed process. Um, when you're researching occupations, maybe you find, oh, that doesn't sound like something I want to do. And so you're sort of learning about yourself, right? You're learning like, huh, Maybe that's something I don't want to do, or, ooh, that does sound like something I want to do. And then you can go forward with decision making for what you want to do, and then some action planning about identifying maybe an academic program that could help you get there, or if you need to move uh, to where the work is, if the work is not available here, what are those steps? And then you can get to a new path. But in your new path, like I said before, you're gaining experience when you're at work, right? You're gaining experience and you get to know what you like and what you don't like. Um, do you like working on your own all the time, or do you like having working with customers all the time? Um, or does that not fit for you? Is computers what you want to work with? So you're always learning about yourself wherever you are. And when you learn about yourself, then maybe you get new ideas, right? You at your new job, you can find that there are some other jobs, right? Either laterally through advancement, or I mean, vertically through advancement, or laterally. There could be jobs that you didn't even think of that could be possible, but you didn't know about before. So more career options could come by when you're in your new path. And then um, while you're working, it's a sort of research, right? You're finding information about careers. And so it's not previously we didn't have all these other arrows. We just had this very nice linear, circular diagram. But we're always gathering more information. And with more information, you can make new decisions about yourself. And it's really allowing yourself to be aware how you're reacting to that new information and what's important to you. And so careers are not linear. This this is this career path is what it looks like for a lot of people. These loops are not necessarily bad things when they go down, so no judgments, but it's not a straightforward type of linear line, right? Maybe you graduate from high school, you start a program, and maybe you find a program was not right for you, and you take a year off to really see what fits for you, change programs, or you start work, and you go back to school, and you graduate, and you work, and you retire, but then you want to work part-time. So, and these are not necessarily the steps for everyone. Definitely, it's not the different steps for everyone. You could be traveling, you could be injured. And again, that's an involuntary change, right? If you get injured and that affects what type of work you can do, then you need to reassess what's possible for you, right? So career paths for many people are are could be messy. And so it's worth the time and effort, really, to reflect upon your own needs and priorities. And when you do that, it helps this line to be a bit smoother. I would never say it's a linear straight line for like 99% of the people out there, um, but it can be smoother. So, a compass um, can be created with a clear view of your work and life. So, I'd like you to maybe take some time now. I'll give you 5 minutes, let's say, to answer these questions. And 5 minutes will not, you're probably not going to answer these questions thoroughly, but maybe start jotting down some ideas for yourself um, for for these questions. Okay, why do you want to work? What does work mean to you? What defines worthwhile work? What does money have to do with it for you? And how does your work relate to your significant others in your community, in your world? So I'm gonna ask you to maybe work on that for 5 minutes. And I see that there are 10 participants. When you are done, maybe say done in the chat box or Q&A, and or at 5 minutes. If you're done before the 5 minutes, go ahead and do that. Um, but at 5 minutes, I will start going again. Okay, so I'll start a timer for 5 minutes.
Thanks, Kelly. There is one question in the Q&A. So while everybody's doing that, could we maybe address that one question quickly?
Sure.
So somebody's posted in the Q&A, what is practical support? So going back to that earlier slide deck that you'd shown,
Okay.
What
Okay.
is practicum experience in workplace practical support was their question.
Practical support, what I mean by that is if there was any resource supports, such as the CERB that was available when the pandemic happened through the federal government. There were some financial supports that could help you with the practicalities of life. You can use a community good food box that's you can order fruits and vegetables for a cheaper price because they come in bulk. So practical supports for that if you've lost income, right? And so that will help you get through this time a bit easier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that answers the question, and the participant that had submitted that, if you want a further clarification, maybe just let us know in the chat or the Q&A.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Mm-hmm. So these are deep questions, but if you can answer these questions for yourself, it will help you focus where you want to go towards. Okay, there's about 15 seconds left. I hope these questions helped you start thinking about this area of work, what's meaningful for you with work, and help you start thinking about what you want, how you want work to fit in your life, right? Another way to look at this is looking at your life. So how satisfied are you with the different areas of your life? Your career is one part, money is another part, and your health, your family and friends, romance, personal growth, fun and recreation, the environment that you're in. How satisfied are you in those different parts of your life? And where would you like to be instead if you're not satisfied, right? If you can see the numbers 1 to 10, 1 would be the least satisfied and 10 would be the most satisfied. So if you're low on it, where do you want to be instead? But assess all of these areas and then look at which areas do you want to focus on, because you can't focus on everything, right? When you need to decide where you want your energy to go and realize that then other areas you may not be able to work on those right now. It's not like you can't work on it ever, but right now, where do you want your energy to go? So this will be in the recording. And you can look at this still, but this website, I have given it to you, and it's in the chat that Madeline sent right at the beginning of the workshop. In this website, the Alice website, there are similar exercises related to transitions. There's this life satisfaction type of exercise, but there's also how to handle fear. Um, you might be feeling some fear if you've just lost a job, and there are suggestions and strategies to help you handle the fear right now. There are also exercises to um, to help you handle challenges. Challenges, um, maybe in your workplace right now. And it talks about things that you can change and how to handle those things that you can't change. So there are some really useful exercises at that website. So, I would definitely use that through career transitions. Okay. So some career change questions for you. Um, what problems will be solved if you change your career right now? What won't you have to deal with any longer? Uh, what things will you finally get, or do you want? What things do you want? But what challenges may arise if you change your career right now? And what is stopping me if you're not changing right now, but you're thinking of it? So these questions really are a cost-benefit evaluation of your needs and priorities. If you can answer these questions, it'll show you what your needs are, um, and maybe what's keeping you in your career right now. But then it can also show you what's lacking for you. And that's why you're thinking of a career change, right? So it'll help define your needs and priorities. Before changing careers, consider, can you change your role, or do you want to change your roles and tasks and duties? Do you want to change a work setting, um, or both, or do something else? There's another work-life satisfaction questionnaire available on this site that's also been sent to you at the beginning of the workshop. And this Authentic Happiness website has actually many questionnaires for insight exercises. Um, and we ask these questions because before making a career change, job satisfaction actually can be related to other things that may not be in your control. Um, these things markedly improve job satisfaction. If you have a good boss, if you have friendly coworkers, or a short commute, research shows this. Um, and and these things are not career related, right? Uh, if the job you're at right now, what's dissatisfying is your boss or your coworkers, can you stay in the same career but change the setting, right? And maybe the environment at another setting, but still within the same industry, could provide a better boss, better coworkers that fit for you. And could you find something with a shorter commute? Commute adds stress to our life. So think of things that are affecting your satisfaction right now. Alternatives to career change, an internal move, or change of responsibilities. Do you want to relocate for the same company? Would that help your satisfaction level? Or can you change how you work? Um, a lot of us are working from home, changing to a different type of work, but within the same industry? Or can you develop new skills within the same career? And so you're staying in the same direction, but the same general direction, but changing a little bit, of course, right? And then look before you leap off. Um, Look at how long retraining would take. And this is sort of planning, right? Or info gathering. How much would it cost to change careers? So if you're thinking of changing careers, will you be losing income? How much will it cost to retrain? Um, and during that time, how will you pay for the practicalities of living? And so what are you willing to sacrifice during that time? So I was in a fortunate position when I left engineering. I still had, because I was a good engineer, they kept me on part-time while I went to school. They knew I was changing careers. And when I went to full-time school, then they gave me summer contracts. And so I supported myself, right? With that opportunity. But definitely I was not making the same money as before because I wasn't working as much as before. But I was doing something that really satisfied me and that helped me. And I knew what I was willing to sacrifice. Who supports you in this? The more support you have, the easier it'll be, right? How will you manage the stress of the transition? Will you lose expertise? Will you lose familiarity? The change of daily habits? How will you manage those things? So thinking of all these things will prepare you. And then look before you leap. Or sidestepping. If possible, and I didn't know this while I was doing it, but this is what I was doing. If you're transitioning to another profession, do a sidestep instead of just jumping, right? Like I said, I was still working part-time or getting summer contracts. I was volunteering as a crisis on a crisis line while I was still working. That's how I first started thinking about it and researching. Is I volunteered to see if I, had the skills, if I liked using those types of skills, and you gain a network through trying new things. And then I took a course through a semester on the weekends. So doing education while you're still working. And so you try these things, see how it fits for you, see how you fit in this new type of career, and you can, slowly go towards the new path. I would say, now that I reflect on it, it took me about a full year and a half. Took me a year to make that final decision, but even after the decision, I was still in both paths for several years going forward. So, career satisfaction factors. These 3 points help satisfaction, or increases satisfaction. Doing what you're good at, right? If you're doing that, you feel good about yourself and you're doing good work. Doing what is meaningful for you. You feel good about doing something that means something to you, right? You're satisfying some of your values. And then, of course, getting paid. Work is work. Even if you're passionate about it, if it's work, there are other factors that will come in, and it's not only your passion anymore, right? Client wants come into the picture. It's not just your passion anymore. So getting paid for doing what you're good at, and what's meaningful for you will help your career satisfaction. Um, but you don't know what you're good at and what is meaningful for you um, without self-reflection and experience, right? And that's why I always say try things out. Try things out through volunteering if you don't have the credentials yet. Volunteer in the sector somehow, or get connected in a network and have a mentor, um, and reflect on those experiences. Um, the key to a happy life is knowing that there's more than one key, right? Always have options, have backup plans, then not everything is dependent on one thing. So the skills that are needed, these were these five things were necessary and sufficient for success. So numerical skills, language, financial literacy, problem-solving skills, teamwork, they are necessary, but now there are other skill sets that are needed for the workplace and the world. Continuing learning. Being able to identify the skills and knowledge that you need, and using reliable sources of information. Um, I think I have a website on the next slide that was, and the website was also given to you of these types of skills. Digital literacy is really important. Even just typing, keyboarding, knowing how to type and efficiently type, navigating networks, learning new programs and apps, being able to be digital, using devices, communication devices. Um, there are people who are just learning how to use smartphones, but everyone is using smartphones now, right? Or not everyone, but a lot of people. And so you need to know these things, know how to use this to navigate the world of work. And knowing how to stay safe online, just for yourself, your own safety, but also your work information safety, right? And then soft skills, being able to communicate with others, being able to work with others. Soft skills are power skills. Global awareness, because we're just so connected, as this pandemic showed. We are a very connected world. It physically showed that. But technologically, we're very connected, obviously. And environmental awareness. So abilities come from a combination of traits that you're born with, your physical personality and others, and skills are developed from those abilities, right? If you don't have those abilities, it's really hard to develop great skills. So physical abilities, balance, coordination, strength, fine motor, sensory abilities, tolerance for noise and height, those are important for certain areas of careers, tolerance for risk, um, and your personality. Those would fit with different types of careers, if you're introverted or extroverted. So I'll show you these essential skills explained. This website explains what those skills are and gives you examples of the essential skills that are needed these days. I'll show you this website though, and show you how careers are related to different types of skills and abilities. So in this website, you can click on abilities or skills that you feel you have, and the website will show you careers that need that skill in them. So I'm just going to stop sharing here and start sharing this website here, right here. So the website brings you to this page, and using this page, you can click on one of these abilities that you feel that you have, or click on many of them. I'm sure you have more than one ability. So such as originality. Let's say you're very creative, and you can click on that and it'll show you what how important creative originality is in different types of work. Um, and this is a very reliable website, but it is American. And so these sunshine signs mean it's a bright outlook, meaning there's job opportunities or more job opportunities there, but that's in the US, right? I'll give you a website that is Canadian later on. So, so this is a good website to see what kind of work relates to the skills or abilities that you want to use or you feel good at and you want to use, right? Um, there's lots that you can pick from. But also from this website, you can search occupations based on your interests or your knowledge and your skills and your values. So it's a really thorough website to use, and we like it. So let me get back to the here. Okay, so that's the ONET online. Um, skills assessment for career changers. The Alberta government actually created this website with another organization. And here on this website, you can enter the career that you are in currently, and it'll show you what other careers are related that you can, that would have the similar skill sets and that you can transfer to. Well, you could transfer to, but it doesn't show you actually how much retraining you need. You would need to research that yourself. Okay, but it shows you what kind of careers are related to the skills that you have in your current career. So this is a website for that, and that's quite new. These websites have free self-assessments. So my next move is from the same people organization as the ONET, and it looks at your interests. So interests, both of these self-assessment tools look at your interests, and at the end of the assessment, it'll give you a list of occupations based on your answers. So lots of career options can be seen there. Character strengths, so insight exercises here, and entrepreneurial potential. So this is a good assessment for, you know, how entrepreneurial you are. It asks like lots of questions about your motivation, about your self confidence in how you want to start a business, that type of thing. So it's really nice, and it compares your scores to other scores. Insight exercises for more entrepreneurial skills, career fulfillment, how you like to make decisions are here in the clear thinking, sorry. Occupational information, this is the ALICE, the Alberta Government website. So this has over 530 occupations, and it gives you information about the job opportunities as well. So it'll say outlook above average, average, or below average, right? If it says above average, then there are lots of opportunities. Um, and so you can look for lots of occupations there. This is the same website with those exercises about transitions, but it goes to a different area of the website. Career cruising, you can find out lots of occupational information there. This is Canadian as well. And so they have interviews of people in those occupations. And so you don't have to find someone to ask about it. They have interviews of people already in those occupations that tells you about some of the things that they like and some of the challenges in those occupations. And career cruising also shows you the academic programs that are related to those occupations. And working in Canada provides labor market information across Canada through the different regions in each province. So look for what type of training is required if you're looking at a different career. Are you prepared to be competitive or mobile? Look at job listings for what employers expect, right? And then these questions, I know we're near the end. So use this questionnaire to see how ready you are to make a career decision. Give yourself 3 points if you have completed it. Obviously, the maximum number of points is 30, and that would be like a perfect score that you've completed everything. But you want to, at least have over 20 points of defining your interests, knowing your abilities, your values, reading about the occupations, talking to other people, trying it out, either volunteering or working in that industry, learning about education programs, short-term and long-term goals, developing skills and expanding your knowledge. And then these are the attitudes, right? Being curious, being persistent, willing to try things for a while, but being flexible. It's okay to change, but be realistically optimistic, stay positive. Um, you know, I think this pandemic has made us need to be positive, right? We've come a year and 4 months past it. Hopefully we're near the end, but we need to stay positive. We're getting through it, and be willing to take some risks to make action and use the experience to inform yourself through this process. So that's a lot of information, a lot of questions for you to reflect on and answer for yourself. Are there any questions right now or comments about the information? Any comments, any questions?
I'm keeping an eye on the chat and the Q&A, and I don't see anything coming up.
Okay. As I said, this workshop is full of questions for you. Spend that time. It's worth for you to spend that time to answer those questions for yourself and use those resources. There's lots of information on those websites on the occupations. So look at those and use that information for your path.
All right, so we have one question. What is the Canadian site you mentioned earlier, similar to the O'Neill site? Which one was that one? And I can put it in the chat.
Okay, that would be the career cruising. So let me explain. So this career cruising site, there's a username and password that you can use. So SAIT and Polytechnic. And then in there, it's it has occupational information for you um, of careers in Canada. In Alice, though, there is some, you can go into Alice and there's something called Career Insight. If you look at Career Insight, then there are questionnaires that could help you do self-assessments and match careers for you. So this is the Alberta website and this is the Canadian website. So the self-assessments are in the Alice website. Um, and there's information for careers across Canada in career cruising.
Perfect. Okay, I'm just going to put both of those in the chat while we're talking about that. There's one comment that just says the current economy seems to prelude some of the advice given here. So do you have any, I guess, comments or recommendations on when, you know, we're in a job transition or there's stuff like this that we're thinking about how to maybe take in the current economy and include that in our decision making?
Yes, definitely. Because you need to see what's available to be able to make a decision, right? That is part of the information that has to be considered, definitely. Are you willing to move if you are set on a definite career path, or are you willing to change and see if the career that you are in, you have skills that you can transfer into a path that's close to where you're at, right? And that's available. So if you go to that Opportune Next website and enter what you've done before or what you're in right now and see what careers are related to that and see if those are available, then that could be one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is using that ONET website to look at, to click on the skills that you have and see what occupations fit with your skills and see what occupations have the job market here, right? But are you willing to, the job market's very different across Canada, right? Are you willing to move? Is that something that you're willing to do, right? That's a question. That's a question that only you can answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'll throw in the chat here too. I know there's been some career mapping done by Petro LMI, looking at like if somebody's from the oil and gas sector and looking at what skills are transferable in that way. So I'm just going to share another couple
Great
links in the chat that I know of, that other organizations that have also done career mapping, because I know that's one thing that a lot of our alumni, right, if they've been in the oil and gas industry, what skills do I have from oil and gas that I can move into digital or tech, or the things that are sort of coming up in the Calgary ecosystem? So I'll share a couple of those as well. There's another comment that says, I'm not willing to change careers, but I need help with my first job. And so I think the one place that I'd really recommend that we and advise that we take a look at is career advancement services at SAIT, right? So there's a whole team of career advisors that are willing to look over your resume and your cover letters, helping you understand what your job search is, right? So as Kelly can provide sort of that deeper thinking and understanding and that career counseling, once you sort of have that idea, you know what you're ready to do and you're looking for that first role, career advancement services is really the place to look.
Yes.
Our colleagues there are the experts. They understand what's happening in terms of labor market, and they can really help you understand what steps you might need to take, whether it be networking or updating your LinkedIn. That's the place to look. So when I follow up after this with the email, I'll provide some links and some information on the support that Career Advancement Services can provide as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like with their LinkedIn profile, with their resume writing, they have mock interviews, like all of those skills, they're very well versed in to help.
Yeah, and they have lots of workshops. So we'll include that in the follow-up email as well. So we're 4 minutes over. So I just wanted to make sure those, no, you're good. I just wanted to make sure we got everybody's questions answered. And I think we have. So with that, Kelly, thank you so much. This was really helpful to sit down and be able to think about how do we map this? How do we understand what we do what we do next. So with that, thank you everybody for joining us. The
Yes.
list of resources will be sent out to everybody after this. If you have any questions regarding alumni career support, or if there's something that you'd like to see discussed throughout the What Works series. So this is a year-long series that we're going to be doing online. We've had various conversations with folks from career services, from folks from Calgary Economic Development, and we're going to continue to bring in internal and external partners to have conversations about careers. So if there's something you'd love to see covered, please email us at alumni@sait.ca. And with that, we'll log off for the night. So thanks again for joining us. Thanks, Kelly. Have
Thank
a
you so
great
much,
night,
Madeline.
everyone. Enjoy the sun.
Yes, enjoy the sun.
All
Get out
right.
there.
Take
Okay,
care.
good night.
Night.